Hiya! Thank you for joining me today. Today's question comes from Paul. Paul wanted to know essentially if I were given an ultimatum by my wife where she said that she didn't want me to dress anymore and to basically close off this side of my life, how do I think that would affect the future? So this is a really difficult question to answer, and one that is certainly going to be difficult to give a very clear answer on, because very much hypothetical, and it's something that is part of an ongoing, let's say, aspect of my life. My wife and I have been working on this kind of stuff for about 3 years now, and certainly I would say that my wife was not happy when she sort of found out about this aspect of my life, and it wasn't something that she really identified with. And with that in mind, she wasn't able to connect what I was doing, and there were a lot of fears about what it would mean, etc. So I think the easiest first place to start is to say that I'd have to start by acknowledging that if we got to that situation, that I had failed somehow in the last 3 years. So I spent quite a lot of time trying to help my wife to understand what it is about this that I enjoy, why I like to do what I do, why this is part of my personality. You know, is this something that I should be ashamed of? I think very clearly not. And is this something that she should expect to escalate? Now, it's always been the big issue with myself and my wife, is that this will escalate to the point where essentially she ends up married to a woman. That's very much not how I identify it. It's not the way I see myself. So from my perspective, I don't see that as a particular concern, but it's certainly a very real fear that my wife has, and it's something that I think needs to, it needs continuous work. You can't, I think people have a tendency to rest on their laurels slightly. Certainly in our community, it's quite easy for people to focus very inwardly on themselves, on what you're buying yourselves, what clothes you're buying, what makeup you want to do, what you're doing with friends, etc., etc. And it can be something that's difficult to share with another person. If you're not sharing it with them, if it's, you know, very much something you do on your own, I think it's important to make sure that you are not focusing too much of your time on your feminine side and not paying enough attention to your wife. That, I think, is one of the critical things. Generally speaking, you're in a relationship, you're married to someone, that relationship dynamic isn't going to work unless the two of you are working together and communicating. It isn't going to work unless you are, you know, you are pushing, at least in some sense, in a common direction. And you know, the best relationships work on that basis. They don't all click and just work magnificently every single day. They need work, it needs effort. With that in mind, I've certainly found that I have to take a really good look at things every now and again and try and make sure that if I'm spending money on me, buying new clothes, you know, feminine clothes, dressing it really nicely, buying new makeup, this kind of stuff, that I'm not neglecting or spending less time or effort or money on my wife. It shouldn't be a case that essentially I end up creating my own third person in the relationship. It does need to be very much a case that I have my time, my wife has her time. If I choose to split my time between my male side and Juliette, that's okay. What I shouldn't do is start dividing our relationship up into thirds, where my wife gets a third, my male side gets a third, and Juliette gets a third. And this is where I think it is very easy to get wrapped up in what you do. I think I'd have to acknowledge the fact that if I got to that point with my wife, I would have failed in some aspect in the last 3 years on addressing those topics and keeping that balance. You do need to take a look. You know, I do more posts, I do far more videos online, I do far more pictures online. I'd go out a lot more than I do at the moment if I could. And I need to rein that in every now and again. It's important to do that. Every now and again I have a purge through Flickr and go through and get rid of old photos and stuff, because this is too much stuff on there. You get obsessed with dumping stuff online and, you know, putting things out there into the world, and that's great, but you need to have a bit of a clean up. You need to every now and again take a bit of time to assess and take stock of how you're spending your time. Is this the best use of my time as a husband? As much as I am a, let's say, a transvestite, am I being devoted enough in my time as a husband? To get to the crux of the question, however, let's say I had failed in those aspects and I do get that ultimatum. I think that would be a very, very difficult situation to cope with. I genuinely don't believe I could stop this. I think I could mask it better, I think I could hide it more, but I think you're then putting things under the carpet, you know, you're sort of brushing things under the rug, and it's too easy then, if you keep doing things secretly, for things to escalate back up again or to feel unhappy. I know a lot of people who aren't open with their wives, and you know, they get real highs of huge excitement when they're going to do something like a makeover or they're going out, these massive highs of, oh my god, this is the time. And then unfortunately there's a come down to that. There's a major come down on the other side. And you know, I've been out with people a couple of times and you just don't hear from them for a month. They just shut everything off because they have this huge come down. And I think that's part of the, I guess the answer to this question is that I couldn't go back to hiding things again. I couldn't go back to a different constricted lifestyle. I'd need to be able to do this and to represent it. And I wouldn't want to lie to my wife. So essentially being given that ultimatum is really being given an ultimatum, as I see it, between being me and not being me. If it came to that, at my age, as I am right now, I think I'd have to choose being me. And I'd have to go into that with my eyes open as to what that would mean in terms of lifestyle changes and all those other things. But I haven't come this far and been this open to be able to then put that away and put it back in the box, as it were. So without using any particular words, D words, etc., I'm sure that kind of ultimatum would spell the start of the beginning of the end of, let's say, efforts to make things work. For me, that would certainly make me close off, and that's not something that I would ever want to do. So, very difficult question to answer. It's very hypothetical. I guess, kind of danced around the subject. To be very, very blunt, I don't think we'd have a healthy future together in that circumstance. That's the easiest way to say it. I don't know what we would do for the sake of children and family and appearances and stuff like that. I don't know how that would shake out. But certainly we would have a far less healthy relationship going forward. And that's something that I would strive very hard to avoid. And I couldn't let it go. I couldn't stop. That much I do know. I haven't got to this point because I can take it or leave it. You know, I don't want to do it all the time, but I can't simply abandon this side of my life. It's not possible. So, I hope that answered your question, Paul. Difficult one, very challenging one to answer. Certainly something that faces, well, most of us, if we are married, something along these lines is going to come up. I think this is something that's worth revisiting perhaps in the future. For another video, maybe trying to tackle this in a sort of more repetitive way rather than simply a one shot, because I think it's, you know, it's something where relationships change, dynamics change all the time, and you know, I'm fully committed to making my relationship work today. I can't say anything other than that. That's my focus. My key number one focus is on making this relationship work in the best way I possibly can. So, thanks for the question. Challenging one, difficult one to answer, but thank you anyway. Yeah, food for thought. Quite a difficult one. Anyway, thank you for joining me for this video today. I hope that was useful to anyone. If there are any questions about this, please do let me know in the comments down below, or email me at juliettisnoir@gmail.com. I'll put the email link in the description for this video, as I do for most of these videos now. So feel free to email there if you want to ask me something offline or outside of YouTube. Other than that, feel free to like, share and subscribe. Fantastic to everyone. You know, I want to say a huge thanks to everyone that's joined me so far, over 3,000 subscribers now. which is amazing. It's really, really fantastic, and I'm super grateful to everyone that takes time to comment and like my videos. Thank you very much for doing that. And as always, bye!